You're listening to Mischief Media.
Welcome to another...
The official podcast of The Leaky Cauldron.
The Leaky Cauldron. The Leaky Cauldron. Do you hear that, Ern? The Leaky Cauldron.
Just go! You're wasting time!
Welcome to PotterCast.
Heyo!
Hey, everybody.
PotterCast number blah blah blah.
Number 16-4.
16-4?
16-4. Season 16, episode 4.
Oh,
Pick it.
season 16, episode 4. I was like,
Episode 4, it's not even spring. Check it.
Here we are. What's up, guys? Let's talk about the Harry Potter stuff.
Every episode's going to start with us talking about how amazing it is that we got an episode out. That's going to last for a little while.
we can't say that about every episode.
I said just a little while.
Just until the next one.
Hey, so what's going to happen in this episode this week, y'all?
Oh, we got some fun, loose chatter about what would happen, and, you know, I don't know. What
That
do we
was
call
great.
this stuff?
John, I'm
All right, let's go back.
It's
we
like
got some
copy that
fun-
was written by a madman professional.
We got some Potter Ponderings.
Got a Potter Pondering.
Ponder a bit of this and that, and then we got a little Hey Netflix, where we pitch Netflix an idea for a little expanded universe Harry Potter-esque show.
By the way, I'm Melissa.
Oh yeah, hi Melissa. I'm John.
Hi, John. I'm Frankie.
Good to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you
16th
guys.
year. 16th year.
We're doing it.
Well, we are PotterCast. We talk about the Harry Potter stuff, as
Mm-hmm.
so beautifully put by Harry and the Potters.
Is there any new Harry Potter stuff?
There actually is. I promise this won't be in every episode, but there's been a development on the, let's call it, ongoing stories regarding the creators of Harry Potter related media series.
Okay.
There was a article that came out on the day that we recorded this about the lead designer of the Hogwarts Legacy game,
Mm-hmm.
and about how he has an old YouTube account where he's incredibly anti-feminist and incredibly pro-Gamergate.
Gross.
This is the person who is leading the design on the Harry Potter game.
Is this someone who's still doing this, or they just caught? It's like one of the.
No,
old-
it's an old YouTube channel, but he's not disavowed any of his
Hmm.
former statements. He actually made a statement that said that, oh yeah, I showed Warner Brothers this channel and they were fine with it and they didn't care,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. It's great. It's just
Yeah.
great. It's great. It's just like, are y'all just trying at this point to...
Wait
for
a
this?
second. Warner Brothers didn't care?
Yeah, let me find the statement so I'm not talking about it yet. Hold on.
Yeah, because I interned at Warner Brother Interactive back in 2005. So I have some sway there from 16 years ago.
I mean,
Not really, but
use it. The article from Kotaku says the following. Troy Levitt is a lead designer at Warner Brothers development studio Avalanche Software, currently working on Hogwarts Legacy. He also ran a reactionary YouTube channel focused on attacking feminism and social justice for over a year. A small portion of his YouTube channel had video titles such as, quote, The Injustice of Social Justice, quote, In Praise of Cultural Appropriation, and, quote, Are Thought Crimes Becoming Real? The latter a reference to George Orwell's dystopic sci-fi novel of 1984. He has lengthy defenses of John Lasseter, the Pixar co-founder who left his position at Disney in 2017 after allegations of sexual misconduct. Nolan Bushnell, the Atari co-founder who Kotaku's reporting found to have fostered a toxic work environment for women. In some of his videos, Levitt expressed support for Gamergate, a movement that fostered harassment against women and other minorities in the gaming industry, and I'm adding this myself, specifically trans people, and criticized Anita Sarkeesian's Tropes vs. Women series as a, quote, uninformed fringe position. He discussed his opinions on Gamergate in a 2017 interview, saying that Gamergate, while painful at times, on the whole proved to be a good thing. I don't think we
What?
can do the whole history of Gamergate here on this, though I'm going to try and get us a guest that can go into that for the Harry Potter audience that may not be quite aware of just how toxic and horrible and absolutely indefensible.
I would love that.
Indefensible.
Yeah, that'd be great because like I had no idea what Gamergate was until about 4 or 5 months ago, and I was like, "What?" So I think it'd be
It's
very
bad.
informative.
It's very bad. It basically was bros. I mean, this is an incredibly reductive way to explain it. We will put some links in our show notes so that you can get some context, but basically was bros accusing women in the gaming industry of sleeping their way to the top and bribing journalists for good reviews of their video games by sleeping with them. And then it just snowballed onto itself into a massive, massive cluster F of 8chan and 4chan, and it's just is bad. Gamergate is bad. This is a pretty uncontroversial
It's nice to add
opinion.
another reason not to buy this game.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the quote from Warner Brothers because he even said, "Oh yeah, it's fine."
But I guess this is something with the whole Charisma Carpenter stuff coming out with Joss Whedon. I was having a real sad Buffy day. It's like, oh, I miss Buffy so much and blah, blah, blah. But then it was pointed out to me that Buffy and other forms of media like film and video games even, they're a collaboration of so many different people's work and artwork that Death of the Author is a little bit more built in.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Joss Whedon did all of that. He just came up with the idea, and it was the work of dozens of people and a writing room filled with some people. There were women in that writing room who made the good parts probably good and effective.
I think you're right for
And
the
so-
most part, but Whedon in particular was an example of like early auteur TV, and so I think he gets a little bit more into the I'm the author of this than some other stuff.
Oh, I know he gets that credit too. Yeah, I think he leans on that, and I think he's made a career off that. But I'm just saying, especially when comparing to J.K. Rowling, she is the gate
yeah.
for that. She her little fingers typed out all those words. But with a TV show, no, like that
It's
was
different.
a whole person acting.
Yeah.
There was a whole person like
And there's an
writing. There's a room
industry.
filled with people.
Right. And there's an industry around that creation. There's a set, and there's
Yeah.
directors, and there's grips, and there's PAs. There's an industry. It's not just one person and a typewriter.
Yeah. That's all I mean. It's like it's just a little bit separated.
This is the quote, but this is a lot of the defense of the Hogwarts Legacy game was the studios, not J.K. Rowling. You can't punish these game makers because of what J.K. Rowling thinks. Here's what he said. Some of you have expressed that due to my commentary on game industry controversies and my sympathies for the Gamergate movement. Sympathies for the Gamergate movement, by the way, is like having sympathy for QAnon supporters. I'm just saying it. That I might have a difficult time should I ever want to return to professional game development. I'm happy to say that even though I disclosed my YouTube channel to WB Games, it didn't appear to be an issue for them. Not that they endorse anything I've said, of course, but at least they seem more concerned with making good games than with pushing some kind of social justice agenda, so there is hope.
Bleh, bleh,
He
bleh.
said
That
this in
means he's the
February of
only one
2018.
capable of making good games? The arrogant man? No, that
Yeah.
means you get other people making good games. Sorry.
So what role does he have on the team? He's a lead. you
Lead
said?
designer. He is lead designer.
That's
He
a
is the
big,
lead designer of the
big
game.
role.
Hmm.
He's
Big deal.
basically he's in charge. He would be like, who's the guy that did all the parks and like Stephen Fry,
Stuart
Clough?
Craig.
Stuart Craig. No, not
He's
Stuart
like
Craig
art
did
The
that.
director.
parks. Of the parks, you said.
Yeah, the parks. That was Stuart Craig.
Well, he designed the parks.
Oh yeah, it's him.
Hmm.
He has that level of control, if I'm understanding it
It's
correctly.
as close to an author on a video game, I think, as you get.
Hmm.
Close. I
interesting.
don't know enough. We need somebody in the gaming industry to
Yeah,
come and
that's
talk to us.
yeah, because I don't even know how that works when it comes to like script stuff. That's a really good point. We should talk to someone.
I'm gonna say it on this podcast. I will be trying on my own to get a guest, but if you're listening and you're in the gaming industry and you have a point of view on this, and you would like to come and talk about the impact that a lead designer has, that would be great. Staff at PotterCast.com. Boop, boop. Don't buy that game.
Right?
Oof. So that's what's going on in the Harry Potter world. You're so mad, Frankie.
I'm just part of me honestly is just me being selfish. Like, why couldn't they just given this to us 2 years ago?
That's a valid disappointment.
No, but it's not valid. Because honestly, I would rather it now come out
no.
when we know her true character in the sense
Totally.
of not giving her money and all blah blah blah. But still,
Totally.
selfishly, little Frankie.
Yeah, I mean, it's valid to be disappointed as a Harry Potter fan that we are getting this in a time when it feels wrong to support the main franchise. Blarg.
Blarg indeed.
Well, you know what we do on PotterCast that is fun and wholesome stuff is we still talk about Harry Potter, but we do it by having some fun canon discussions
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of what ifs,
Mm-hmm.
and we pitch shows to Netflix, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And not Peacock for some reason, which would be the channel that would be
You're right.
one that would be doing this.
Maybe we should change it to Hey Peacock.
Hey,
Wait.
Peacock.
Why Peacock?
They own the series.
They're the ones that have the streaming rights for the films. And
Wait, HBO. Wait, I'm confused. I thought
Doesn't HBO Max have them now?
No. They
Wait.
had them temporarily, but Peacock is where you watch them now because Comcast bought the rights for all of that jazz.
Comcast.
Because they have the theme parks, and it's better
Mhm.
for them to reinforce the brand on their own budget. I guess I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, wow.
Comcast,
Was
go
it in the
buy
room?
go
I guess
buy
that
all the
makes
rights.
sense.
Buy all the rights. Buy all the rest of the rights. Buy them.
Yeah.
Buy all of them. I never thought I'd be saying that to a big corporation, but buy all of them. Take them.
Yeah.
You'll do better with them than they're being canceled right now. I mean, the game is going to be successful because it's going to. It's
Yeah.
just
If
what it
the
is.
game is good, the game will do well. If the game is not good, the game won't do well.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find
The
out.
game will live or die on its merits.
We have seen Harry Potter video games be very promising and fail very hard.
Yeah. It's
And we
hard
have
to
seen
do
lots
it
of
right.
other games be very promising and fail very hard.
There's a very
No
specific
Man's
game
Land.
that the fandom has been clamoring for all these years that has yet to receive, and it
The
is
MMORPG.
right. Yeah, to have some way of making your little character, getting to go to Hogwarts, and getting to hang out with your real life friends in that virtual environment and do little missions together, do games together. But they have been averse to any kind of social aspect to the game out of their sheer terror for the ways in which people could use it to be predators on the children playing the game. Full stop.
It's true.
So it is what it is.
All right, well, let's get on to the rest of the show. By the way, this is a Mischief Media podcast. You should look up Mischief Media in whatever thing you're listening to right now, and make sure to check out our other magical podcast, Roll 9 3/4.
Yeah.
Other magical podcasts. I like that.
Other magical podcasts. It's our D&D adventure in a unnamed magical world, and we're having a ton of fun with it. It's really great, and lots of other cool stuff on the network as well, so you should go and check that out.
Woot woot.
Woot woot. All right, let's get on with the show.
All right. Hey, guys, it's time for another Potter Pondering, where we take an abstract question in the wizarding world and then we ponder it here for a minute. And I think we have a pretty fun one for you today. Which one is it here, Melissa? You want to tell us?
Yeah, we're going to say what kind of job we would take if we graduated Hogwarts,
Yep.
but couldn't get a job in the wizarding world. What kind of muggle job would we take with all of our fresh magical abilities?
Got it. Cool. That's a fun one. So we're imagining that not only are we magical in this period where we've graduated Hogwarts and we are trying to find a job, and the magical community is pretty high on unemployment, I guess. Not a whole lot of jobs going around. So we have to venture off in the muggle world and find what we can find.
There's a magical recession.
Yeah.
There's been a pandemic.
The non-magical world's economy is booming, though, and there are jobs to be had. But honestly, you could probably out-qualify most non-magic people with magic for most jobs, I would imagine, except for, like, highly specified careers, like, legal or, doctors or dentistries, and
How would you
probably
prove it,
a lot
though?
of technology jobs.
How would you prove it?
How would you prove that you're qualified?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, probably you can rule out those professions right out the gate, right? Because those would be ones that you would need some very specific.
You can't be like magically architect something.
Yeah, very specific schooling. And no, I mean, architecture, probably you could do that as a magical person.
Design?
Sure.
Spells will do design work.
Well, no, but spells might make the technical aspect of handling your instruments and things a little bit better. I was thinking like art would be right out the gate, like fantastic thing that you could get into. Like imagine like you're like a sculptor or you're a painter or something, and you can like bewitch the instruments you're
using.
using.
A sculptor.
It'd
be so terrifying. You just transmogrify someone into stone and be like, look, it's a sculpture.
Like think of all those
Frankie,
people
that went
making
to a very dark place very fast. I think, wow,
Dark?
That's certainly an idea.
I missed his example, I guess.
You could transfigure a person into stone and then you have a sculpture.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's a bit much. But like think of
copy
if
'em.
you wanted to make a, I see all these people on the YouTube and Etsy making things out of resin, for example, and you have to make your mold out of whatever
Silicone.
material. So like you could transfigure your mold and do your pour, and now the thing is, you can't transfigure something permanently and sell it and say, hey, I'm making these things, but you can certainly transfigure things temporarily to like be your mold or be your frame or what have you. So
you'd like speed up the production of crafting.
Absolutely. It would be like if you wanted to go the Etsy route, which is probably not the first route people listening would have thought we'd go down.
That's
but
not what I imagined. would come first? I would head probably straight to politics, like
Oh,
a super low level job.
how are you going to refrain yourself from like bewitching people to think the way you want them to, though?
Well,
Are you going to
probably
be like
because
a dark
that's an
politician?
unforgivable curse and that's bad. But I would speed up paperwork. I'd find a way to find corruption. I'd find a way
Uh-huh.
to read everything really fast so that I can like know if there's
Yeah.
sneaky things in bills and things like that.
Yeah. I think you'd be great at something in government, not
Yeah, I
necessarily
don't really
like
mean politics,
political.
like running for things. Screw that.
Yeah, there'd be all sorts of things you could make more efficient with
Mhm.
magic in the government, I
Just
would
like
imagine.
totally mysteriously, all the bureaucracy just gets so much
Yeah.
better and faster, and nobody knows why. And it's because you're just kind
Right.
of using magic to speed people through the process.
Imagine having magic to do the outreach to figure out who in the country needs to get their vaccine and who hasn't. Like, where are all the old people spells?
And how to do
Like,
it
let's do
equitably.
that spell. Yeah.
How to do it so that it's not based on whether you can be at home spamming a computer to get your vaccination
Yeah.
appointment or whether you can take any time you need off work to do it.
If
Finding-
Hogwarts can tell you like where there's 11-year-olds that need their Hogwarts letters with like a single book and quill sitting in the castle, they can figure out who hasn't received their vaccine and who needs a letter confirming their appointment and all this and that.
Totally.
Well, yeah, when you pull out that thread, and this question just pulls out that whole narrative of like the wizarding world sitting on all these easy fixes for the
Yeah.
Muggles. The Muggles are just like sitting there toiling away, like, oh, we could just tap them
Yeah.
with our wands, but we're not gonna. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, all these people dying, like, they're COVID. How about this?
Hmm.
Head into
How
the
would wizards cure
hospitals.
COVID, or how would they
And-
help out during the pandemic?
Think about all the expandable space they could do for like the wards. They could be like, let's just charm this ward to be 3 extra floors of
Yeah.
beds and
How about
space
this?
and all this stuff.
Or
Instant vaccine replication.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Instant.
Oh, yeah.
And delivery.
And
But you'd have to
See,
you'd have to work to hide it, because if you got found out, it has to seem real.
This is where I wish the time magic study in the Ministry of Magic would come into play when it comes to like vaccines and stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
put that into the time vault and be like, okay, put this in there, and then they get it. In reality, you're sending it sideways into different dimensions of time, but you're just spending time in all directions rather than just forward. And when you get the vaccine in 3 months versus
Totally.
2
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
Do you know, to take it in a selfish direction, for what I do, creating big fandom events, I would use that expandable charm in a big way and make very small spaces the only thing
Oh,
I'd
wow.
have to rent to have enormous events. Do you know how? Oh man, do you know the cost reduction? That
Oh,
would
that
be.
would be great.
I wonder, because apparently that spell work is complicated. So I wonder how that's complicated. What does that mean? Why could Dumbledore do it and not Hermione? Or why could
Mhm.
Hermione do it and not Ron? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
would love just to look at those gears, because that's so cool.
Yeah, I like that if there's limits to the strength of the spell's execution is dependent on the skill of the person doing the magic, and you might
Totally.
be able to duplicate a simple object for somebody who has only known how to do that magic for a little while, but you would need somebody who's got real mastery to make a really complicated object. Like imagine duplicating an iPhone and all of the
Mhm.
little internal components inside of
Yeah.
it. That
So you
would
make a
be
facsimile. You make like a
immensely
little brick.
difficult.
Yeah.
Or then mRNA vaccine. Get out of here if you think you can clone that with just your average wizard's capability.
Geminio.
Like that would
Just
be
Geminio the vaccine.
spooky.
Wasn't it in book 5 that Dumbledore like summoned a chair, and the chair that he summoned was super ornate, and then like
Yes.
the chair that someone else summoned was just more of a humdrum chair?
Yeah.
I've always assumed that was due to his style and flourish in magic versus
Mhm.
a resource like Hogwarts. It's not money that gave him
Mhm.
that, right? That's more just, he thought to make a cool chair with his
Yeah.
magic. Or did he have privilege to access that chair? Or was it just skill?
I think it was just a mark of it. Well, I think probably J.K. Rowling intended it as just a mark of his skill.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I like to imagine that it has other indicators. There's a difference between what I think she meant by it and what it could be.
Mhm.
I like to think of it
Mhm.
as more of an indication of the depth of a person's creativity and how deeply they've thought about things.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to exist in his mind first, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, especially even like in book 6 when Dumbledore's like, oh, this is just Tom's style. Like, and he just knew.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this in the past, just how certain things have styles, and I think magic held hand with art in that way. Like, you can kind of tell someone's hand in it.
Yeah.
So if I can twist the question a little bit, what if you got a job and you couldn't do magic, but you're a fully trained wizard, what kind of job
Yeah.
do you
I think that's the
would be
more interesting
attractive?
question.
Yeah.
Wait,
Because
explain the difference. What do you mean? Like you have
Well-
to do a job without using magic?
Yeah. So
The
you're a
po-
fully trained wizard. What kind of job would be interesting to you if you couldn't use your magic?
Well, I think that you could use your magic, but you would need to maintain the same
The guys.
standards of,
Mhm.
of secrecy. You know, like your example of you would make a leaky con where you could shove everybody into like a coat closet and pay the rent of a
They
coat
might
closet
notice. They
isn't
might notice.
fair because you're exposing all these muggles now to magical spaces. But
Looks shady AF.
yeah, I'd be like, hey,
Oh,
leaky
I
con,
see what you
leaky
mean.
con
Like,
closet.
Okay.
If
That's
we're
why I
playing by
like the
the
government
rules.
example, because you can do things sort of on the slide, not in a grand scale, but you can do things
Uh-huh.
sort of on the slide to kind of speed things up in ways that don't actually tip awareness.
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember early on in early PotterCast years, we've kind of talked about this before, of course, because we've over a decade plus have gotten to almost everything you could talk about. But we talked about trying to mine for precious metals and other things, like how with magic you'd be able to find where's all the diamonds in these rocks? Where's the gold? That would be like a massive advantage. It would be like the endless gold hack on life at that point. Bring some nifflers out with you to wherever part of the world you're going to find gold and
Right.
go to town.
How about you, Frankie?
I guess it would have to be. Originally, I wanted to frame the question around if we were at Hogwarts, if it was us specifically at Hogwarts, what would you think you would have studied in like your 7th year or so? And then see how that could tie into a muggle job. I don't
Mhm.
know, a chemist of some sort or a doctor of some sort, I think would do really well with someone who's good at potions, but I don't think I'd be good at potions. And so, but I could see like doctors and pharmacists and even drug dealers becoming really good at pharmaceuticals and whatnot
Mhm.
with potions.
Speaking of
And
potions, it'd be
then-
really fun to use those skills on cosmetics, and people probably wouldn't notice.
Yeah,
Oh my
see, like
gosh.
that. I didn't even think about that. Exactly. Cosmetics, or even if there was a way to put like illusion work into cosmetics, I don't know if that's something that's possible.
Would you feel a calling to do a higher or a something that would be good for mankind, let's say, if you have those abilities? If you were selfish about it, like my earlier example, you could get yourself super wealthy by taking nifflers out to the gold mines, right? But would you want
you
to
feel
do
like
something like
with
that, or
great
would you
power-
want to try to like say, all right, what are the biggest problems facing humanity right now? And you think about the changing climate, and then think, okay, how could I, with
Well,
my magic,
This is
figure out
Mm.
things for that?
this is with abilities the question of what would you do with all the money in the world, right? This is the same question but around abilities rather than money, because in a lot of ways money and privilege equal abilities.
Hmm.
So it's like a similar thing. Like if time and abilities could be overcome, and I don't mean like your ability or disability, I mean like the things you're able to accomplish in this world could be
Mhm.
overcome by money, then let's just replace that with magic. Would you go all Jeff Bezos, or would you try and sort of make the world better?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a
think
difficult one.
Or go Mackenzie Bezos?
that what you said is you said the practical answer that what I was gonna say is I don't think that the big problems with the world are people and people's selfishness and their conditions of our hearts. And so like and magic can't change that or shouldn't be able to change that. And so it's like, well, the big like I like climate change. That is like, ooh, that
Yeah.
is something that it piques me because I'm like, I guess I could totally see how magic could there's math there that magic can figure out that technology can't yet. We can't just
Mhm.
do the math and cast a spell. We could do the math and
Mhm.
maybe and that would be fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Climate change and stuff like that. But when it comes to like people who don't want social like healthcare and stuff like that, it just makes me sad that they see it as such a selfish thing. It's like, no, this should just be a right. And like
Yeah.
that is something that you can't convince people of with magic,
Yeah.
or at least not in a good way.
So, like, here's your premise. You've got some magic. You've got, I don't know, say there's a group of 20 of you. Because, you know, having magic is rare, let's say, in this hypothetical. You've got this little task force with wizards, and it's 2021, and Texas is freezing, and the pipes are bursting, and it's a catastrophe. What spells do you use secretly to try to be of some assistance, to try to help in that
See,
situation?
this is where it sort of loses me. I know we have to do leap of faith, but climate change is a wizard problem too. So
Well, sure.
you'd have to
certainly.
imagine they'd be on it somehow. You know?
Yeah. Well, how many
Like-
wizards would you need to like refreeze the ice caps?
Yeah, I don't know. Or the permafrost.
Reparo.
Yeah.
Just
Like
put
just
'em
think
all
of
up
how
there.
many wizards were required to try to contain what's his face,
Go to the glaciers.
Grindelwald, all that fire in Paris, you know, and
Right.
now imagine how many more you would need circling the North Pole trying
Pretty
to
much all of them. But there's also
pretty much every single one of them, right?
if they really got into it, if they had wizarding think tanks, they could really get into
Yeah.
less ball rolling down a hill sort of solutions
right.
and more like
Yeah.
clever strategies rather, or the faster creation of electric technology, of hybrid technology and fossil
Yeah.
fuelless technology. They could get into that and help unroll
Or just
that.
convert magic into electricity somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Or think about all of the carbon capture technology that non-magical people are making advancements on, and then add magic to that to transfigure carbon out of the air into whatever
Hang
you
on.
need.
Plot twist: we find out that magic is actually
A
just
pollution?
like fossil fuels. Yeah,
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna
Oh,
say, what
that
if
would be
magic
hilarious.
burns fairly unclean?
I was just thinking that, Frankie.
Oh
It's
no.
never noticed because there's so few of
Like,
them.
it'd be so crazy. And then, like, the worse spellcaster you are, the more energy it takes to
Yeah.
burn your will into existence. And so it burns heavy. And so you have all these, like, oh, that's so interesting.
If wizards found out that the way to cure climate change was to not exist anymore, not use magic.
Not
Oh,
cast magic.
I mean, that's sort of the position we're in.
That'd be a really fun story. Someone should write that one.
It's kind of the position we're in, right? Because the way to cure what we're doing is to stop a lot of what we're doing.
Right.
Stop
Yeah.
a lot of
No, but I
use of
like what
fossil
I'm doing.
fuels. But I like my electricity and I like my
Mhm.
gas in my car. Well, cool. You can keep doing that, or you can perish.
Right.
Terrible. What a terrible idea. It's got too real. What
Yeah.
if wizards are actually the cause of climate change is a place I truly can say I never thought we'd go on PotterCast.
Yeah.
No, we did, though. Look at us.
This started with what's the kind of job you'd get. So, okay, let's forget about doing good. What is the selfish job?
What are the fun jobs?
Yeah. Let's
Do
the
you
fun-
imagine wizards would have any interest in space exploration?
Yes. No. You know what? No.
What if their magic is somehow tied to like this planet? Is there any
Ooh.
limitations to think that they could
Xanadu.
even do magic in space? I don't know.
It made
It's never come up in canon.
a lot of, if you look at a lot of spell stuff and wizard stuff, it's about like charting the stars and the moon phase and all that kind of stuff. So it does seem to be the fact of us tethered to this
To the wider
location.
universe. Yeah.
Mhm.
In the show The Magicians, and I think the book got into it too, I don't remember the book very well, but in the show, conditions really, really matter. And at one point, they break the moon, something happens to the moon, and everyone's spell work goes for shit. Because that was a
gosh.
constant forever. And so that created a variable that everyone had to accommodate for. It was really interesting to have to hear people talk about that kind of nonsense.
Like somebody stole the moonfish from the pond in the Northern Water Temple.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much so like that.
Yeah. What about like a wizard chef? Think of all of the different concoctions you could
Ooh.
create with like knowledge of
Creative pumpkin
potions,
pasties.
knowledge of charms and transfiguration. All of the ingredients
would
you
be
could
fun.
source that would be hard to find normally.
And just imagine, you probably wouldn't even need much of a kitchen. You could just,
Nope.
you could be in there, just flick, flick, flick of the wand and have stuff prepping. And then
Yeah.
you could be like a wizard running your own high-end restaurant. And then
That would be really cool. Yeah, imagine
kinda
what's her
fun.
face? Not Frenchie. What's her name from Fantastic Beasts? The lady who's like, I'm
wow.
gonna help Grindelwald
Queenie.
here now. All of a
Queenie,
sudden,
thank
Queenie.
you. We love
Yeah.
that series, don't we?
Everybody loved her in the first one, and
No,
then
she was
they
great.
decided that she sucked in the
She's a-
second one
she's a
because
great
she
actress.
decided, yeah, she was.
But yeah,
like,
imagine you can be like a
well,
baker.
she did take his agency away. That was kind of creepy.
fascism curious here.
Fascism.
Fascism curious.
So
She was poorly written.
imagine her doing cooking, but restaurant scale, or like multiple people with that kind of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine
That'd be
would
fun.
be crafting related. I love crafting. I'm just a
Yeah,
crafting fool. And one day, if I decide I'm done with all this other professional stuff, I'm just going to open an Etsy shop. It won't be very
Mhm.
good. I'm not good. Nobody says I'm good. But I
yeah.
would just try different crafts and try different things, and magic will help me be good.
You're like the biggest supplier to like home goods and everything else in the country
I
now.
truly think that my hobby is buying craft supplies.
Oh yeah, we're really good at buying craft supplies. We're less good at using them all, but we've got tons of craft supplies.
For me, my selfish one, I think, would be I like my job, so I would probably use all my magic just I would love if I could live on a mountaintop. The only way to get to my place where I live would be by magic. And so, I could do whatever I wanted, live in like a really nice little floating tower above a mountain sometime in the Pacific Northwest, hiding in some mist, whatever. And then when you go to work, I can apparate or have a port key to different locations that I can just go back and forth from. I think that's what been my effort, is just being able to have a nice little cozy place to live.
Sure.
And then I could just use magic to make sure I'm connecting. Like, hey, everybody, I don't know.
Also,
Because
you can get through your work a lot faster.
Yeah. Hey, offshoot of this question, say that the wizards decided they're going to relax some of the rules about magic in the non-magical world, and they said you're allowed to retain one of the magical classes worth of your magic. Does one of them come to mind as to which school of magic you would want to maintain?
Define School of Magic for me real quick.
Like,
We'll
names
just
of the
think about
classes.
it simply put as like a class at Hogwarts, like a charms or transfiguration or
okay.
potions or.
I think for me,
Oh.
Transfiguration, because it's less ephemeral than Charms.
Wait, what? How do you draw the line between the two then? Again,
I think a
Transfiguration
charm
is...
appears to change something, and a Transfiguration does change something.
Yeah.
But like a charm...
Like in
So wait.
WandaVision, when you take an object into Wanda's little area, it actually transmutes into something different. But
yeah, but what
a
confuses...
charm would be confusing someone to think that something is there when it isn't, or making something float in the air, or
Yeah,
pulling
but what confuses me is in the books, they're in Charms class when they have to make the little legs appear on their teacups. That's Charms, not Transfiguration, and that always confused me. So that means Charms or something that... It just seems like it could be whatever it needs to be then?
I think charms would imply animation. You could transfigure a teacup to have legs, but then it would just be a teacup sitting there with legs. There'd be nothing about it that would get it walking,
Oh,
have
so-
the teacup walk around.
So that's like a charm that has a little bit of Transfiguration woven into it.
Right.
Okay, I like
Well,
that.
I mean, if you turn a goblin into a rat, it's still like McGonagall turns into a cat. She can move around. It's just,
But
that's
she
just
turned it into an
advanced.
object that had the
Can
ability
move
to
around.
move.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
A rat can move.
Yeah. I guess you could transfigure a cup into something that had
Something else.
rat legs, and like the rat legs can.
Maybe Charms would be more fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if that's the case, if I can say if a Transfiguration and Charms can only last as long as the task gets... When it's done walking, the legs have to vanish.
Mm-hmm.
If you transfigure a stool into a chair, you can eat your dinner and you can leave that as a chair for, I imagine, days, depending on
Mhm.
how well you transfigure it. But Charmed, it would just be like, oh, levitating it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
for me, it would be Charms then, because then I could charm things to do things. I think Molly probably does a lot of housework with
Mhm.
charms. If I could not do housework, if I could charm my brooms or vanish dust, or charm the cats not to shed everywhere,
Yeah, that'd be great.
that would be an amazing ability.
You know, I just thought of a whole school of magic that we hadn't considered for non-magical careers.
Magical creatures?
Divination. Imagine working the stock markets or any kind of speculative market if you can master divination to like know, when to buy.
Sure. Feels vaguely evil, but
Now, do you think
okay, GameStop.
Yeah.
that would work? Because even amongst the wizarding world, a lot of people think divination is...
I would imagine the fact that it's taught in the school, presumably has been for a long time, it's a real thing. Our experience with it has been kind of a little peculiar with Trelawney, and is that the only teacher we've ever seen for divination?
Ferenz.
No, we saw the
right,
centaur
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and they got like a different way of doing it also, but I'm left believing that it's a real thing, just as real as the other things, though it is one of those things that is a lot harder to do well. That could easily be a very overpowered bit of magic if you knew precisely what Voldemort's plan was going to be down to the minute, and yeah, like it would be.
I kind
Wait.
of I see divination and the stuff like prophecies to the degree that the magical community respects them at, kind of like zeitgeist stuff or viral videos. You can study what they are, but you can't really teach someone like, hey, a viral video making class. You know what I mean? Like I see like divination and
Yeah.
Dumbledore kept Trelawney there because of a prophecy, knowing that, oh, I need to keep this from getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how much of... And then what was the centaur's name again, Melissa?
Ferenz.
Ferenz. I wouldn't say Greyback. when Ferenz taught it, he was very critical of the Muggle way of casting. It was more of, oh, sure, you can see tides. We can see like conflict, or we can see like adjectives coming our way, but we can't see nouns. And so it'd be interesting. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but it was just, I guess it was a stray thought when it comes to divination stuff. Yep. But it's still fun. But like, imagine if you were a really talented divination one, then where would you spend your time?
Surely, well, I don't know, like what magical skill would give you more success in the stock market if you were comparing divination to what's the one? I want to say arithmancy.
Yeah,
the one
arithmancy. I think arithmancy is probably arithmancy is divination with science mixed in.
Right, which you would think would give you the better chances of doing well. Interpreting asset markets, because it's a lot of technical analysis too. I don't know. This is fun though.
So we want to hear what your ideas for this question are. Please send us email, staff@pottercast.com. Send us a voice note so we can play it on the show.
Yeah, a voice note.
Yeah, especially if you're sitting there.
People say they're going to send us voice notes, and then they never send us the voice notes. Send us a voice note.
Yeah, send us a voice note, and then something along like this line, just a fun Harry Potter related speculative question that you want us to talk about. It's we love these.
I mean, like, we didn't even talk about healers. You got, if you were a healer at St. Mungo, surely you'd be useful in a hospital, right?
We want to hear your ideas.
How complicated is healing?
Yeah.
It's very complicated, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right. We could do this forever, but we want to hear your ideas. I think next up will be a spinoff of Hey Netflix. All right. Welcome to our Hey Netflix segment, where we pitch non-Harry Potter segments, ideas to Netflix to turn into greater series. Our sort of Marvel universe, as it were.
Right. Which we're all fooling ourselves if we don't think they'll try for that eventually.
One day, eh?
They're doing it for Star Wars. They're doing it for Marvel. Why not do it for this?
I can think of a couple reasons, but that's not this episode.
It's every episode.
It's every episode.
Point being, there are people that stand to make money from this that will not leave it on the table forever.
Absolutely.
True that.
Absolutely. All right. What are we talking about this week?
Well, we're pitching something, right?
Young McGonagall.
What can we juice out of that character?
Now I feel like a suit.
No, we're the creatives that the suit's hired to come up with the ideas.
Now I feel better about myself. Good job.
Well, no one's hiring us. We're giving it away for free, so we can go ahead and feel stupid about it again.
That's true.
All right.
But it's fun. We're putting it in our show. You can take it or leave it. We didn't say it's going to be a good pitch.
No, we never made that promise.
That was never part of it.
A show about young McGonagall. Now, when we say young McGonagall, are we talking about young McGonagall who's been working at Hogwarts for 40 years as of the 90s, or young McGonagall who's already working at Hogwarts in the 1920s as per the movie?
I'd love to think that she had more going on in her life than just meeting a new class of kids every year. Not to say there's anything wrong with teachers who have a long lifetime history of teaching, but they're not the people you'd normally make a movie about.
You know what I would love to see a version of, and this is almost like a cheap answer, but I think it would be perfect, is Queen's Gambit, but McGonagall. From young girl at Hogwarts, growing up, doing her thing, deciding to go back to Hogwarts. Like, you can start the series at Hogwarts and you end the series at Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a fun show to watch.
Like as a transfiguration magic
There
wizard,
certainly
like
need to be
genius.
an element of transfiguration.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Flitwick could be there because Flitwick and her were kind of like contemporaries, weren't they, or no?
So if Flitwick won a dueling competition as a charms master, they were contemporaries. Would there be something similar for McGonagall?
Well, yeah, like what?
What do you mean, like a competition?
Yeah, like some sort of thing she could win to be a champion of the world in Transfiguration.
I would imagine there's a tournament for almost everything that you could specialize in.
I'm just realizing this in my head, that him being a dueling champion speaks to his prowess at charms. I just thought it was... Yeah. I just thought it was all this time he also is a good dueler. Like, I thought it was like...
I think it's both.
No, I know. I realized that. But in my head, I think thought it was like fencing.
Right.
But at the same time, I guess charm is like fencing with your brain or with ideas. And
I was
so-
just considering that, like, when you think about what are all the schools of magic in Hogwarts, and Defense Against the Dark Arts seems like it's the one that doesn't quite fit in because it is the only one that seems to have a thesis about how you're going to use the magic. Everything else is just, this is potions class, and we'll teach you how to make a potion. It's not like, here's how to make skincare treatments with potions. It's just potions. So, like, if there was a class at Hogwarts that was the, like, offensive magic, it would have to be charms, right? Offensive magic isn't its own breed of magic.
Yeah, it would be its own breed of magic. And I guess you would probably, that's a big, probably training in like Auror school and whatnot, because they're not going to teach a bunch of
But, like, the
kids.
spells that you require to duel, like Harry dueled plenty.
That's true.
He used spells that were taught at school, or
Well,
that they
He
found
famously
out
used
about
poor
at school.
spells for
He famously used
poor
the
spells for
disarming
dueling.
spell
And so, like,
as
that was a
a
huge
Swiss
plot
Army
point.
knife for everything. Yeah,
He's like, oh, it's him. He's using that one spell he knows.
better try to take away his wand. That'll do it. He won't know how to do anything without the wand.
But it is true that they did do dueling club at school.
Yeah, but even then, the spells that they were learning, do you remember them?
Well, like
Like-
the tickling one and...
But isn't that a
Picture-
charm?
Yeah, they're all charms. You just never realized that.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're mostly charms. Most of the stuff that he uses, like Terrence Allegra and all
I
that.
feel like it would
I
be
guess
really
Terrence
interesting
Allegra-
to use any spell in a duel that wasn't a charm. I guess you could imagine some kind of transfiguration being used in a duel, but that would be, I don't know, that would be interesting. The Knights of Hogwarts, that's a charm.
That's a charm.
Yeah. But
No, that could be Transfiguration.
which one?
Knights of Hogwarts, Pietro Locomotus, or whatever she called him, Pier Totem, whatever the spell
See,
was she
but I did-
used to
See,
awaken.
Yeah.
that bothered me
Nice.
as well, because I know that was supposed to be her, because fire is the element, and so what's she going to do? So they made her animate something, and that's like, I think is supposed to be the tie-in to Transfiguration.
Mhm.
That one bothered me. That seems like a charm, not Transfiguration.
They didn't change shape, they were just animated. And to that point, what did they do with those knights afterwards? Did the knights,
I think they just
did they
went
just go back to
they
their
went back.
spot? They're like, all right,
Yeah.
thanks for letting us do
The
something.
ones that probably aren't broken.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine the ones that were
Wow.
like damaged and like all to pieces.
Reparo that all day.
Yeah, all day. Repair that old joke.
These knights, I felt like they should have had an opportunity to, like, hang out afterward. So, because, you know, they were hibernating for years.
Oh, you think they're
Like,
sentient?
they should have been given some kind of heroes thank you moments, you know, in the Great Hall or something, to be like, we recognize these knights for their contributions to the school.
Oh,
They
I don't want them
aren't
to be
human.
sentient, because
They
that's
aren't-
terrible. That means they're just
It's
standing
like
there.
thanking a robot. Yeah.
So, like, they're droids. They're like the Dark Stormtroopers.
Yes.
They're not droids. It's magic.
No, they're not
It's
droids.
a spell that did the work. Like, and it
So
just
they're
happened
just
to-
normal knights? They're just normal empty suits of armor? There's
Yeah.
nothing in them?
That magic
Yes,
activated.
and they get animated to be
Suits of
protected.
armor are very
be
light
protective.
for the purpose of a human being able to exist in them and not be weighted down by all of the weight. So what
Yes, but
use would they be in a
No.
battle? Like,
No, John.
These suits of armors weren't made to be made. They were made to stand around the castle.
I'm saying, like, I am much more comfortable with the magic animating them for this moment than
Yeah.
them having to be frozen in stone for
Yeah,
hundreds of
yeah,
years
yeah.
on end just to be used once and then back to, like, yeah, if that is the assumption, then yes,
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
no.
Let them party a
No.
little bit, but I
Yeah.
was
They're
never
just
under
being
the
animated.
intention that these were like.
no.
It's not like Beauty and the Beast. It's these.
yeah.
It's.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine?
No, they're just being animated for this purpose now.
I mean, I
Um,
guess that's why I didn't think that. But now thinking that,
No, 'cause if
please
we're
let
gonna
them walk
For
around.
years, we just sat
No, if we're
around
gonna
the
start-
castle.
If-
Because
Suddenly,
fun,
those
lazy.
little days are gone. Like, what?
I don't know how
Oh,
we got
I
here
want
from
the castle to
McGonagall.
sing that song now all the nights. That's what they sing at nighttime when all the kids are asleep.
Yeah. Well, I just know that there was a moment, and I swear to God, this is why the Knights of Hogwarts was my theory from the beginning, is there was a moment, I think it was Chamber of Secrets, where Harry made a point to be like, yeah, I could have sworn the knight just, like, looked at me. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
just turned its head and looked at me.
Oh,
So it's like,
no.
why? It had to have noticed him
Hmm.
and turned its head towards him.
Okay, then maybe it is maybe
This is turning into the sentient robots that always kill everyone. This is what this is
No,
turning
they're
into.
not trying to kill anybody,
turning
but
into
if you
HTD.
throw them thank you parties, they'll not kill the students.
Well,
but
hey,
if you just
Sounds
here's
like
a lesson
they'll protect the students.
for the AI programmers out there or someone who could tell me. I don't know how this would work, but like maybe something the benefit of magic is you can give it awareness without desires. It just is just aware, and so it's not really existing. It's just aware. Because like if it's aware and existing, this is magic, so we're just drawing one of those arbitrary lines that don't make sense. And so, because that's what the benefit of magic is. So if you could give him that, then I'm fine with him sitting around as long as they don't. I don't want it to be like a house elf situation where like, oh, they want to be here. Like, no, they don't.
Right, yeah.
And so like the house elf, I don't want the Knights of Hogwarts to also be like an indentured magical servant. At one point in X-Men, it's revealed that Cerebro was a sentient entity.
God, really?
Yeah. And then Professor X hid it from the X-Men, and they turned on him. They like kicked him out because they're like, you lied to us. Like, you're a hypocrite. You taught us all this thing. All these years you were enslaving somebody who didn't want to be, and then became a whole character and whatnot. And so I don't want Hogwarts to be that. So much of Harry Potter has been ruined for me already, John. So don't ruin this for me. I'm just kidding.
Are we still talking about McGonagall?
Well, I think we should just pivot to make the whole thing about the Knights of Hogwarts.
No,
honestly.
it's McGonagall. Let's go back to McGonagall.
I actually totally agree with this. No, I don't know that there's that much else to say.
No, we're done with that. But it's
I
good
think they come to life at night and just kind of do their thing, and like no one's noticed all these years.
What if something in the spell is they can move around freely as long as a student can't see them. And so, like, it's very rare that...
it's like Toy Story, basically.
Yeah, but magically enforced. And so, like, if a kid runs out of the hallway, like, they just can't move. If there's a kid out of bed, they can't move. If every kid's asleep, they can go to bed.
If there's, like, a first year who's walking around the castle, it's nighttime, it's dark, they trip, and they break their ankle, and they're sitting there in pain... Nobody can hear them, but they're right in front of one of the Knights of Hogwarts. Does the knight acknowledge this? Because Harry didn't break an ankle.
This is where we're going to get into my other logic again. In my head, the Knights were never sentient. The Knights were always a tool of Hogwarts. And so in this regard, then yes, Hogwarts, if Hogwarts could be, I would love if Hogwarts would be like, oh, a little 12-year-old broke his ankle. Let's take him to the other ward. And maybe it doesn't know. And maybe that's why a teacher has to be like, oh, bling, wake this one up and then it'll know. I don't know. But I would like to think that it's the castle flexing to help versus the duty of a suit of armor. But again, like, I thought of it differently. I thought the enchantments on Hogwarts would be a little more fluid versus just like tied to each individual hardware. I think they have Bluetooth going on.
Would you feel any better about it if Hogwarts was sentient, but not in its way of this an individual, but over the years, all of the wizards to come in and out of this school, some of them chose to imbibe some of their magic into the castle so that, in the same way the Sorting Hat was derived from the magic of the founders.
Yeah, that's why I always wanted more founder stories. Because of the Sorting Hat, I assumed magic always had those unintended side effects and intended side effects of that kind of stuff.
I think that there's a very different moral understanding of sentience when you detach it from the scarcity of time. What is time to a Knight of Hogwarts, even with sentience, if it can't die, if it will just be there? What does it care if it's asleep for 6 or 7 years at the time? You know what I'm getting at? So like if Hogwarts itself has some sort of awareness of its world and can express that through changing its staircases and temporarily animating some of the knights here and there, are you comfortable with that kind of sentience, even if it is dormant for long periods of time?
Yeah, because it's in control.
I'm uncomfortable with this notion that they're watching and reacting to things silently this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's knights in like the bathrooms or anything, because at that point it's a little creepy, but they could be hall monitors.
No, besides Moaning Myrtle, there's no living entity, I don't think, in the bathroom.
Moaning Myrtle ain't too alive, I don't think, but...
Sentient, we'll say. Sentient.
Oh, that's our buzzword. Hey-o, secret word.
Could Moaning Myrtle take a class and learn something that her living self did not know?
Yep.
I guess if she chose to.
She has to, because she meets new people and retains
that information. Because I think that like when we're comparing magical personalities to things that are otherwise inanimate objects, I think, can you teach a portrait something new? If they're capable of evolving, capable of learning, then that's a different type of sentience than something that's just doing an impression of something that was once alive. So I think Myrtle remembered things. Myrtle could be offended by people that were alive today. So I think she counts as somebody that can grow.
If we're talking about sentience, we have to remember that all the portraits are sentient.
To a
But
certain
are they?
degree.
They do. Well, but like you can have a conversation with them. It's not like a recording only that just like the fat lady got scared of Sirius Black. The Cadogan ran around.
That always
like,
bothered me though. What were you afraid of?
Same.
Like fat lady, honest to God.
Well,
what was going to happen to you? Go to a different portrait for a minute.
Well, that's what she did, though,
Right.
right? She had to be repaired, right?
She had to be repaired.
Yeah, because I think damaging the canvas has to hurt the painting. It has to. Otherwise, what's the? Yeah, I mean, imagine there's something to the magic they can get away. But if you were to burn it, I wonder if you could burn. Like, if you get one portrait, someone to run into the other painting, and then you burn that canvas, will that witch be okay or wizard be okay?
What you're describing sounds a little bit like a Horcrux comparison. If the fat lady had 100 portraits of herself at Hogwarts and you burned one of them, she feels that less than if she only had 3 portraits of herself and you burned one.
No, I just want to know if the portrait who left the painting can still exist when the anchor's gone.
Oh.
I want to say no.
It's an odd thing, right? Because
I want to say no
like,
as well, because otherwise, where's the magic? Where's the hardware running the software?
What was his name? Like Phineas Black or whoever his name was. He could go to his other portraits. He can't just go to any other portrait. So if he goes to his other portrait, is he hanging out with a version of himself?
No, it's
he
empty.
Can go to any portrait in Hogwarts, but to jump buildings, he's got to go to his own portrait. So they can run around. All the portraits are running around all the ones in Hogwarts.
Well, and at one point,
but to go to like the hospital, he has to be his painting. That makes no sense.
At one point, I think it talks about how sometimes there are portraits inside the headmaster's office that are empty because they are visiting their other portraits. So that means
to get information.
that somehow the magic is tapping into so I don't know if the same wizard has to paint you to have that happen, or if it's pulling in for the same character or person. And so then it just once you paint it, then all of a sudden you're just opening another window, and then that painting goes away, and then it becomes like, oh, I can go to this one now. And how great would it be to be one of those wizards who's like, I got 15 portraits. That would be a goal of mine, I guess, if I was really rich. Like, I want portraits everywhere, please.
What if you were an abstract painter and you did a painting of a headmaster that looked nothing like them? Would that count as a magical portrait that they could use in the same way that they'd use a portrait that resembled them to their real form? Picasso does a portrait of Snape. Does that weird-looking Snape talk to you in the same way that a normal Snape painting would talk to you?
I don't know. That's interesting, because I would be curious if representation matters in the magic. Because if it does, then no, it would not, because you're doing the spell wrong. But if it doesn't, if the representation doesn't matter,
because what would keep a child from drawing Snape and being like, "This is my Snape. I drew this Snape. Put it up on the wall, please." And then can all the Snape portraits go hang out in that one?
No, I think there has to be a certain charm on like a person to allow themselves to be replicated. That's my 2 cents anyway. Like Dumbledore would have had to consent to his image being replicated in any real form, and only those used with that charm or whatever, it's like a fingerprint, can be represented that way. I can draw Dumbledore on the back of a napkin and he's not going to come alive and talk to me.
I mean, I like it. I like the idea that there needs to be some consent of the actual person, but I would think that part of the consent would be an understanding that you have to refer to me by my actual name.
You can't get consent from everybody who's ever going to interact with the portrait. That's not a thing.
What?
You can't be like, I consent only if you make sure that everybody who ever sees me ever refers to me by the name I choose. That's not going to be a thing.
There are analogs to this in our world where people donate large swaths of land to become parks. And the only condition on the deed forever is that they don't change the name of the park.
On the deed and the people in the park. But if I show up at the park and I want to call Dumbledore Park Jerkface Park, I can still do that. The park can't change the name. So Hogwarts can't change the name.
Yeah.
I guarantee the official painting
Dumbledore
of the
called
fat
it the Fat Lady portrait, though. If anyone's going to respect the portrait and give it its real name.
He's not Hogwarts.
I don't know. Dumbledore's pretty shady.
He's not Hogwarts. He is shady.
But he'd be the one to know the real name, wouldn't he? I mean, I guess there'd be librarians and bins and these people that might be more I would think, though, that to be the fat lady is not her most unique characteristic. Surely there are other things that she would use to identify with, or like including her own name. Like she'd want to have that underneath. Like
maybe she wanted to be the fat lady who sings. Get it?
No, I mean I get the joke. I get the joke.
But you're like making it maybe it's what she wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe it was,
Don't assume.
maybe.
I have no idea what show we're pitching right now. It's basically the
This
Black
is
Mirror
why no one's
episode.
paying us for this.
I know. This is
McGonagall.
This is the Black Mirror episode
the show.
about,
Something about knights.
Hogwarts. No,
Something about
this
paintings.
is Black Mirror.
Yeah. Okay.
This is about all the things that come to life when people are sleeping at Hogwarts.
Yeah. So basically, what we're pitching is Toy Story at Hogwarts. Essentially, what happens?
No, Night at the Museum.
Night at the museum at
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts. Night at Hogwarts. Yeah. I maintain that Hogwarts could have its own series, completely detached from characters that need to be there. Just here are things that have happened here.
Short
over the
stories
years.
of Hogwarts, that'd be great, honestly. And
Yeah.
like the only thing it has to be, the common thing it has to be on castle grounds. That's the only rule for the story. I would love to see, like, give me 15-minute short stories, boom, or just like a season where we get 40-minute episode contained, boom, boom, boom. That'd be so much fun. One could be from a
that
staff.
would be fantastic.
One could be from a student point of
Give
view.
us a few episodes of like the time period where the room of requirement came into existence,
Yeah.
and
And
what
you
was the
just-
circumstances surrounding that, and
you just honestly, you just have to dress the set just slightly differently because it's going to be the same rooms, and then just slightly different robes here and there. That would be fun. I mean, I don't want it now, but I would watch it.
Well, in an ideal world.
I know, I'm just being glib.
All right, I think we've maybe.
Well,
tried
I'm going to
this
say
weird.
we officially come back to Young McGonagall because this was not a Young
I agree.
McGonagall. This was fun, and I love that we talked about it. But I'm going to veto that this was not Young McGonagall after all.
I agree.
Because we got on a real
She's still
real
on our
big
list.
nitpick bunny trail. So nitpick tangent is what I wanted to say.
That's fine. All right, Seal.
all right.
I'm going to test something. It's the drums.
No, I'm not going to do that to spite you.
Ah, you both were on to me.
Ding,
Damn
ding,
it.
ding, ding.
You always do it. Do you know that I walked into the living room and Will, my fiance, was watching like basically a Gryffindor common room on the screen?
What?
He was doing one of those virtual environments while he
Well,
read.
those are fun. Those are
Oh,
fun.
that's fun.
Very, very cute. How y'all doing?
Is Will Gryffindor?
He's a Ravenclaw. Only a Ravenclaw would want a cozy fireplace environment for reading.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We probably got some Gryffindors out there you just made upset, Melissa. So watch out for those owls.
I'm a Gryffindor,
Because
I get to
all
say
those
it.
owls. Remember when we would upset people and they would send owls? I remember when I upset people. It
All
was
the
them
owls.
Yeah.
So many owls.
Yeah.
So many owls.
So many owls.
So how y'all doing? What's happening?
Living the dream, right? In a quarantine world.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, I got vaccinated.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at
That's
you.
fun.
I
Congratulations.
am eligible because I have an autoimmune disease. Super fun.
No,
But I will
fair.
take it pushing me up the ladder to get vaccinated. I had a fever. I had like 100 and something. Well, I had a 99 fever, which for me is like 100 because I have a lower temp than most because of my, say it with me, autoimmune disease. And so I had like a 99, and that was with ibuprofen. So if I hadn't taken ibuprofen, who knows what it would have been.
Yikes.
And my arm hurt, but I'm fine.
Well, good.
Oh, so you did have a fever afterward.
Yeah, I had a
Nice.
fever, and I had a little headache, but that all went away. And it's like fake because you're sick, but you're not really. I mean, you are sick because it's your autoimmune doing its thing, but you don't have a virus. You have the like spokes on the outside. Is how this vaccine works. They created the spikes, not the actual virus.
What?
Is that right?
You know the picture of the coronavirus with all the spikes
Well,
on the outside?
I know what you mean by the spikes, but
But
like,
I thought
is
the
it-
spikes was the part that was making it hard.
Yes, so they give you the instructions for your body to create those spikes. So your body starts creating it so that it can recognize whenever it sees those spikes. So now, if a coronavirus comes in and it's got the spikes, the body's like, I know what to do with this, and fights it off. If it comes in without the spikes, it's far less contagious anyway. So that's why they did the vaccine this way.
Yeah, I think by definition, a coronavirus has to have spikes.
Oh, yeah?
I think that's kind of what makes it a
Well,
coronavirus.
yeah,
'cause
it's
the
the crown.
corona is referring. Yeah.
Oh, right, like a crown crenellation. Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, a corona. A corona is also the money in Cittàgazze,
I don't know what
by
that
the
is.
way.
I bought like a 24 case of Corona light beer like last March, and it's 80% of it still downstairs.
That's hilarious.
Because
Is it because of the coronavirus that you bought the beer?
Oh yeah, just because I thought I'd be making a joke, and then I realized not long
That wasn't
after this
funny.
isn't much of a funny joke, and Corona
It's
isn't all
not.
that good,
You know.
and you can only drink so much of it when you're stuck at home.
Yeah, Corona is definitely like a beer that you drink while you're doing other things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm at a party. I'm at the
It's a-
beach.
I'm on a boat, you know.
Yeah, I'm on a boat. Or if you have a lime, that makes it better.
Oh yeah, you have to add the lime though.
You guys been watching or reading or listening to anything cool?
WandaVision.
Oh!
Oh yeah.
Frankie
Pretty
is a
much.
happy boy.
One more
Gosh,
episode
they're having
left.
So much fun.
What?
One more episode as of this recording.
There's
Wait,
two.
only one more?
Yeah.
No, there's two left.
Are you sure?
There's two. I think
thought
there's
there
two.
was three. I thought there was like.
Oh, nope. I'm given the 2-finger hand salute everywhere. There's
it's
2
two.
episodes left.
Is Bree doing the 2 fingers?
She
well?
is. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, oh no.
Whew.
Yeah,
No
we
spoilers
need
here.
the big conflict, and then we need to see it resolved. And there's
Well-
only 22 minutes for Pete's sake.
well, are there
Give
only
us
22
more.
minutes?
Pretty much. There's like 8 minutes of credits.
It's true. I mean, well, this week you had the first post-credit scene. You guys saw that, right?
I thought
No.
they had been putting him in all of them.
Nope, it's only in this one.
No, there was a post-credit scene. Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna run and watch that right after.
It's a
we
post-credit
record.
scene. I won't say what it is, but a friend of mine speculated that the post-credits came when they caught up to that timeline in the Hex, because like they're in like the aughts now, like they
Right.
would be just getting
Right.
out of the aughts, the late aughts, and that's when because Iron Man came out in 2008, and that's when they started doing those post-credits with like, oh, this Thor hammer and
Oh,
and-
that's funny.
and whatnot. So like whether that was intentional or unintentional, I think it still is a fun observation.
Yeah. Good show. That's a good show. We're watching that a lot. What else?
Oh, with, you were mentioning about the Avatar Airbender live action show, John.
Yeah,
Hear about
well,
that?
that was
Yeah, there's
announced.
some controversy going on there.
Some kind of controversy because they aged up Katara.
Yes, they're clearly trying to make Zatara happen, which is Zuko and Katara.
Oh, so they
um,
aged up Katara. That
They're
is
flipping Katara and Sokka's ages.
Yeah, so now she'll be the older sister and Sokka will be the
Oh,
younger
that's
brother.
why the creators. Okay, look it. I've got wind of this show. I heard rumors about it probably 3 years ago and got very excited. Maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember time anymore. Coronavirus. And I was very excited because I thought first the creators of it were involved, and it was so I figured it would be like Game of Thrones, but for the family. Like, I figured they could teach this story that's just a complicated story. They can distill it from the first season down to a 10-episode live-action version of the first season, and the creators are involved. It's going to be great. Then the creators left, and it was just so confusing to me because I've worked on a couple of Netflix shows now, and I have friends who work at Netflix directly and Netflix Animation, and everyone always said how great it is to work with Netflix and how they're just so good with creators. They just let them do a lot. And so it's so confusing to me that these two creators that I respect immensely left on principle on something that Netflix would not condone. And so now it's like, do you think it's this age up of
possible.
Katara?
I mean, she was supposed to be the younger. Sokka was supposed to have all these issues from needing to step into his father's shoes. Like, there's a lot of stuff there that they're changing with this age flip. So I'm confused. I also think they're trying to make it less weird that she and Zuko are attracted to each other. But it makes it way more weird that she and Aang are then attracted to each other because Aang's 12.
I'll
Yeah.
say this: they never had chemistry for me, Katara and Aang. When he liked her, I was like, what? And so like
I know.
I'm not I like them together, fine, whatever. Like it was like sure, but that was a surprise. That was something I felt was a little forced, just because they wanted them to be together. I'm like, all right.
I
So-
kind of agree with that. I liked her and Zuko together better than Zuko and May. But whatever. I don't know. I'll give it a shot. It doesn't seem the creators aren't like flipping out and saying it's going to be terrible and all that stuff. But I
No.
suppose contractually they can't.
Like, let's wait for them to announce casting. Maybe they have a perfect person in mind for Katara, and she's older than Aang in an obvious way.
Even if they do want to switch it to have more romantic tension between Katara and Zuko, like the story of Avatar is not about Aang and Katara. It's not about their relationship. It's about their friendship and them learning together. So I think they can still, the thesis of the show can still be there. Like Sokka, his whole thing isn't the fact that he like isn't just that. That is a big part of his character for sure. But I think him becoming it's about him becoming a warrior and feeling worthy, and him having something to contribute because his sister is a bender, and maybe having an older sister who's a bender can just attribute that to more. Like I can see it's not breaking it for me, but I could definitely see why, especially like of our three main characters, like why are you gonna mess with something that you know works? But yeah, I'm very curious to see where they're gonna go. I hope it's not like super CW romance angst.
Honestly, I think Netflix has gained a little, they've got the credibility to make me see what they're doing with this. They've done a lot, and they seem to be careful. And they seem to be interested in a good story.
And everyone else who had creative experiences with them have been like, oh, it's been great. They've been, or if they do have a challenge, it's something that is not really in a creative decision. It's something a creative decision affects. It's like, it's not they're gonna like, I want this character here. It's like, no, we can't have this because of X, or this costs X.
Yeah.
And so I'm still on board, but I'm super like, that is news to me though that she's older. That's bonkers. Or is it the right ethnicities and whatnot?
Don't know until it's cast, but I cannot imagine Netflix making that mistake. Can you?
Right. No, it would be
especially.
lame.
So wait, what was revealed if the casting wasn't revealed? I misunderstood.
That the age would be flipped.
Yeah, I still think that the heart of these characters can still reach their arcs with that.
They have a new showrunner too.
Who's the showrunner?
I'm gonna tell you right now. Albert Kim. Previous credit includes positions at Sports Illustrated, Entertainment Weekly, Details, and People. He's a writer and producer on Leverage, Sleepy Hollow, Nikita, and was an executive producer on ESPN Hollywood. Cool.
ESPN.
So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
That's stylized.
I would love a really good version of that show, beyond the one that we already have.
Totes. What else have you been watching?
Oh man, what a question.
We've been watching a very old show called The Killing.
I haven't heard of that one.
Remember that? It's on Netflix now, or it's on Hulu now, or it was a Netflix show that got bought by Hulu? I don't know. It's sort of like this fictional true crime genre, kind of before it was the big deal. It's like a sort of Twin Peaksy plus True Detective. Actually, some of the True Detective people worked on it. It's just, I feel like we're just like out of things. I'm taking suggestions. We have watched all the shows now in quarantine.
I have a suggestion. Did you enjoy watching The Office? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, then you need to take some time and watch Superstore if you have not. Because Superstore, I avoided it for so long. I don't know why. I just like it's about Walmart. I don't watch a show about Walmart. I watched it about a month ago when I was having some stress in my life, and it is such a nice, good show. Great. It's The Office, but if they made Dwight female and Michael Scott a really, really sweet evangelical.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then Pam and Jim are kind of mixed up in the two like leads. They're kind of like stirred together, and then there's just a whole secondary cast of characters who I fell in love with. It's my background show for the last 2 months. I just hey,
How
Netflix.
How many episodes are there?
There's 5 seasons that are already out, and the 6th season is currently airing. And the 6th season is actually taking place during like quarantine times, and so it's kind of interesting to watch them make like sitcom stories about like mask etiquette. One person was like gonna host an outdoor movie night, and then she's like, well, and they were like cool kids at the store, and she's like, well, you guys are kind of lazy about your COVID safety, and then they get all offended, like, no, we're really safe, and they had like the whole episode about how like, look, us wearing our masks, we're washing our hands. It's just kind of silly, but I don't know, it's fun.
Cool. All right, it's on. I'll watch it.
It's a fun one. It's nothing too taxing either.
I think that's it, y'all.
Yeah, this was fun.
Always good catching up with our crew. Catch us on stuff. Go follow our Instagram.
Catch us on stuff. Mm-hmm.
Catch us on stuff. We're on Instagram.
Stuff.com.
We need to post there more because I'm the only one who logs in. So if we post more, maybe
Shame.
or maybe more of you follow us there, I will encourage John and Frankie to log in and post things. PotterCast Pod is our name there, and we will catch you the next time.
Cool.
Adieu.
See you next
Well-
time. Well, until the next time, keep twiddling them dials.
The next password. I never do the password. The next password will be. This is why I never do the password. The next password will be Wanda.
Yeah. Oh, that's appropriate because of WandaVision and magic wands. Duh.
Yes.
Wanda.
What you said.
Bye, guys. Well,
You forgot
keep
the rest.
faith. Keep faith.
No, you forgot the other one.
Keep
Wait,
each other
Keep
safe.
each other safe. Wait. Keep each other safe. Keep faith.
And good
night.
We've missed it.
W3.
I confess myself disappointed.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed.
Great Scott, no wonder. Look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours. Spooky how the time flies when one's having fun.
All right, this is called Potter Ponderings here, where we are about to ponder. Oh, fuck me. Which one are we doing? I don't remember what our intro is for this
Potter
segment. Do you?
Pondering. It's just called the Potter Pondering.
All right.
You start it, John.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
We're here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Hey, it's the drums. No, it's not the drums. It's the intro. What am I talking?
Oh.
I just want to point out. How Pavlovian it is at this point. That one of us says it's the drums, and you guys just automatically.
Of course, drums.
That was pretty great. That's all.